Yo, my G, what you saying?
My G.
What up, and greetings! So, welcome back. We haven't had a chance to speak like this face to face for a little while. I tend to post primarily highlights lately, but I just have something that I was thinking about a lot lately, and I don't have a perfect script or list of things that I want to go through, but I just want to start a discussion and have a chat about what's bothering me right now, and it's the state of Wild and how editions of cards have kind of been ruining the experience for me, and I believe that some other players out there. So I actually made a video relating to this topic a few months ago. It was about, it's not very good, but I'll link it down if you want to go and watch it. It was regarding, release of new cards when they released UI and Spreading Plague, which at that point was on 5 mana, and it was really powerful to protect you against aggro decks, and it still is. Being played in pretty much every control deck out there, unless it's like a Taunt Druid, which doesn't want the Scarabs to, come back to life. And sharing my thoughts on like how Druid was always really strong on ladder ever since the beginning, and how when they taken away, when Standard and Wild initially, split, they taken away the Savage Roar and Force of Nature combo, and they taken away cards like Engine of Lore, or they nerfed them to the point where Engine of Lore, that was again pretty much in every single mid-range and in control or combo deck for Druid, has been kind of driven out because it's been nerfed so heavily. Since they also nerfed Innovate, and a few more cards that kind of made it harder for Druid, but addition of many others have made it way easier. And now in the Boomsday expansion, they've added the Psychomelon card, Juicy Psychomelon, which basically makes you consistently draw your combo every single game. So it's not like, in case of Exodia or any sort of combo deck where, your combo pieces might potentially be among the last card or two of your deck, and you might potentially never draw them. So now you've got, 2 Juicy Psychomelons or 1 Juicy Psychomelon deck extra in order for you to draw those cards. So just an example of like what happened to me yesterday. There's a screenshot of the full combo. It's actually only turn 5, I think, at this point, because he played Biology Project. So you can see just the last sort of couple of actions. But yeah, it was basically Biology Project into Psychomelon, into Nourish, into Wild Growth, into then turn 9. I'm not sure what he did. Probably just remove my minion. And then this happens, turn 5, basically. And it's all fair enough when you say like, oh yeah, but he, if he didn't draw the ramp, he wouldn't have got to it so early, and you might have gotten lucky. You might have been a really like super fast aggro deck, and he didn't have any armor gain or the Spreading Plague that we were talking about earlier, and that's all fair and square. But they usually do, and I'm arguing that the amount of armor gain and the combined with the amount of ramp that they have, accessible at the moment, is just far too strong. I have a list here how often certain cards are played, and on the top 7 cards that are being most often played in Wild, like 5 of them are Druid cards. So you can see how badly widespread this widespread this problem is. It's taken away some of the enjoyment of the experience, because with a combo, when you see someone play the Psychomelon, you pretty much know you will die, and it's so degrading that you can't do anything about it. I mean, if you look at it, it's Brand plus 2 times 14, that's 28 damage, plus 1 from hero power, so that's 29. Actually it's 30 because you get that weapon from Medivh, Atiyesh, so it's 30 damage in 1 turn, and pretty much nothing saves you from this, pretty much, because even if you have the Ferrado minions, they come back and then you destroy them because you deal 7 damage in like 7. You don't do 28 damage in 1 hit, so anything that would come back gets destroyed as well. So yeah, pretty much the only thing that can save you against this is an ice block or armoring up with a warrior above 30, and then somehow brawling it all away, hoping he doesn't draw UI, just getting very, very lucky in terms of how you deal with this board. It's possible, but it's very improbable. And the moment they get the ramp that they need, they get Juicy Sack Melon. It's over for most decks, and I don't think that it should be that polarizing. So last time I sort of just, open up the conversation. This time I would like to offer a few maybe solutions, a few nerfs. I think that one of the things that Blizzard should be doing going into the few expansions that are remaining this year, or one expansion remaining this year, and then one for the end of the Year of the Raven, should be like reducing the overall power of the Druid cards coming out just a tiny bit, like not making a joke expansion for Druid, but just removing some of the tools, or making sure that in standard there's always just like one RAM card or 2 maximum RAM cards, not 3 or 4 RAM cards available at any given point. I think that they should also consider next time that they rotate cards into the Hall of Fame, they should rotate 5 cards, 10 cards. Like in my wishes after last year BlizzCon was for Team 5 to do more changes, like more drastic changes to Hearthstone, try new things out a bit more. And they haven't really done that. We still haven't seen tournament mode. We're still kind of like hovering sort of in between, good ideas and innovative ideas and terrible ideas that don't lead anywhere. The last expansion hasn't really changed the meta as much as people would hope for. All the decks only added Giggling Inventor in there and are playing pretty much the same. But WoW is really suffering, and you can just see it on the queue times. In Legend, you queue sometimes for 45 minutes until you find an opponent. And the variety of decks really suffers because of this. When you have an interesting matchup, it's like Togwaggle Druid versus Togwaggle Druid. Not like one deck versus another, because they're usually so polarizing that, it doesn't matter what one of them plays. And that's what there should be less of, that one of the players basically doesn't have any effect on the outcome of the game because the other player drew nuts. Yeah. I mean, they did it a little bit with, nerfing patches just before it rotated into Wild, rotating Raza, or rotating nerfing Raza, which saved Wild, because now it would have been Raza decks still going on, because that's what the meta was before Raza was actually nerfed. Just like crazy amounts of Raza priests of different variations. And now it's, I think, needed to to happen again. So I have a few proposals for cards as well to change. So I don't know if you agree or disagree. Let me know in the comments if you think that this is something that is a bit too much, or it's not enough, or overall what you think. So one of the probably the hottest ones for me to change was Wildgrowth. So I am proposing for Wildgrowth to have this additional text. Now people are like, yeah, but basic cards should have plain and simple text, which is all fair and square, but having an effect that isn't written on the card, and only, I think it's like 3 cards that give you excess mana. It's Wildgrowth, Pilfted Power, or whatever the card is going to one plays that. And then Astral Recall. I don't have that card. Yeah. Okay, Astral Communion. Astral Communion, then Pilfted is, I think, 5 mana, right? Pilfted Powers. No, 3 mana. Pilfted Powers, right? I don't even know that card. Here. So this gives you excess mana if you got like 8 mana and then you play this and it gives you 11 mana, you get excess mana. So my proposal would be that it would actually say on Wildgrowth, if you're on 10 mana, it gives you excess mana, or add excess mana to your hand. And the excess mana would be a 0 mana spell, like it is now. But instead of drawing a card, it would gain you an active mana crystal, like Innervate does, or like Counterfeit Coin does. Like exactly the same effect, except for you would have to prepay for it. So you pay 2 mana the turn before in order to have an activator, in your hand. That would also be a kind of a benefit, like a little benefit, but on the other hand, you could use it as 2 spells rather than 1 spell. So if you've got Gadgets on board, or if you are buffing a Mana Addict, or if you're buffing a Yogg that you're planning to play, this would actually be of benefit. But I think that Wildgrowth is just too strong, like, to remain unchanged. And the fact that there is an effect on it attached that isn't actually outlined on the card is just something that I don't think is right. It shouldn't be. Like, I know that the cards should be as easy as possible, but how is it easy for new players that like suddenly a card appears in their hand and they're like, how did this happen? Like this card says nothing about excess mana being added to your hand. You know, like nothing inclines that this card would do it. And if it's only 3 cards in the hand in the game, and only one of them is being played in standard, which is the mode that most players are playing, I can imagine, then I don't want this card to be completely useless on 10 mana. That's why I'm proposing what I'm proposing. But I think that it being a cycle for 2 mana is way too strong. So I would like Wild Growth to be changed. So next one is Branching Paths. So Branching Paths is difficult to nerf anything else than the armor. And I think that in 12 armor for 4 mana is not that much. But I think that if you take a look at it from the perspective that you take it as like super clutch, and armor is generally more value than HP, because HP, you know, you can't have over 30. Armor you can have as much as you want. 4 mana and draw 2 cards is balanced. It's more expensive than Arcane Intellect. But in regards to being able to choose 2 other options is fine. Give your minions +1 attack. I think it's fine because, you know, you can give your minions +2 attack permanently as opposed to giving them +2 attack for 1 turn, like with Savage Roar. That's all fair and square. But 6 armor twice is just... it takes you too far away from the aggro decks being able to take you down before you actually get to your combo. And I think that you should be more vulnerable to being taken down quickly. Plus, this works both in aggro and control decks. So I think that it should just be tiny bit, you know, so either change it to 5 mana, which then would make it a lot weaker, or change the armor gain to just 2 times 4, so 8, which is a bit weaker than Feral Rage, which gives 8 for free, but then you've got the extra option. You don't have 4 attack to your hero, but you've got 2 other options, which would boost the mana cost by 1. Anyway, third card that I would like to see changed. What I'm proposing is for the mana crystals that you gain from Nourish, for them to be empty. So you can't use them on the same turn to play a Wild Growth, or to play a Wrath, or to play a Spellstone, or to hero power as Malfurion for free. You know, none of that bollocks. Just keep it empty mana crystals. And I would even reduce the card draw to 2 instead of 3. And I don't even think that would be too much of a nerf. I know that like 5 mana for two cards is like, oh my god, that is so stupid. But first of all, you primarily use it for mana nowadays anyway. Second of all, having so many cards drawn in the combo Druid is actually sometimes very risky, because you can overdraw the combo pieces. And that's why I don't really consider UI as an adept for nerf right now, because you have to be quite careful with, like, because you have so much card draw, you have to be actually careful with when you play UI, and you can only play it in like very specific situation. Therefore it becomes like less of a value, because you can't just play it every single time you have it, like Wild Growth or like Nourish. And because if you overdraw one of the combo pieces, you're screwed. You know, that's why people play Rats, and that's why people play transform a card into a random demon from both players' hands and stuff like that, just to interrupt the combo. You know, I've seen big priests playing Dirty Rats because they try to interrupt the combo of the Druid. So I think drawing 2 cards would ultimately, you know, it would make... I mean, Nourish wasn't really played for a good while, and it's only really since sort of Kobolds came along when it's being played, and I just think that now the meta has slowed down. I think that it's just too strong, because if you got 2 strong ramp options in the classic like pool of cards, in the base pool of cards, and then you add more ramp on top of it, that's what creates the massive problem that we have right now, where it's like turn 5 and they're playing the entire combo from like 6 cards. It's like, how does that happen? You know, that's not interactive at all. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. There's like, okay, you can Dirty Rat. There's 1 turn. We can actually, in between you, like, them pulling the entire combo and then playing the combo, you've got 1 turn to Dirty Rat. You might turn that 4 mana, what is it called? This card that everyone plays. You might pull an Ironwood Golem, and you're screwed. That's it. So yeah, so basically my proposals for changing is to nerf those cards, Rotate more cards into Hall of Fame. Even Wild Growth, get rid of it. Even Fipe, get rid of it. You know, Rav, get rid of it. Frostbolt, get rid of it. I don't know. It's just the pool of cards. As much as like I like to have pool of cards that, you know, people can come back to, I think it needs to be smaller. Or the representations in the meta and in the decks that are being played and are strong needs to be less represented. It's still too much. It's still too much. Like it should be 2-4 cards, you know, 2 copies of 2 spells or 2 minions from the classic and basic set that you put inside your deck that you play in standard. But it shouldn't be like 10 cards or 16 cards or 18 cards of your deck, and then you put like 12 cards from the new expansions here and there just to, you know, make it work. So yeah, so guys, tell me what you think about my ranty video here. Tell me in the comments, how would you change the cards? If you agree with my changes, if they're too drastic or they're not drastic enough, you know, I would really like to know your opinions on this. So let me know. If you like this video, smash me a thumbs up, you know what I'm saying, all that, subscribe and turn notifications on, bollocks. And I'll see you very soon. Yeah, I'll be streaming tonight, so if you want to catch me there, twitch.tv/MoritzHS. That's twitch.tv/MoritzHS. So yeah, I'll be soon back, and see ya.
London. Heavy. Shut up and sit down, you big bald.
Clothes, I'll rap with the cold flows. I'm back with the most jokes. In fact, you don't know. On tracks, I throw blows to make my punchlines relevant. If you can't keep up, you're getting on your celibate. My flow's developing, skin lacks the melanin. Give me a shot of adrenaline and I get it in. I do it for the hell of it. Ever since I hit the mainstream with the A-team, I seem to celebrate.